everyone, so this is a quick bike check of the Ragley Big that I have, and I finally got around to actually building it through a mixture of new and parts I just happen to have knocking around. This is probably a bit more of a reasonable hardtail build compared to the Bigwig that I have, which is, let's face it, for those that have probably watched the listing video on that, it probably is a bit OTT for a hardtail, to be fair. So first of all, let's start with the frame. So this is a Ragley Big frame. It's in a large. Now this is one of two that I ordered, and I went with the red one because it's got a couple of very small dents in the down tube, and because of that I got 100 quid back from Chain Reaction Cycles. They don't affect the bike in its operation or anything. It's merely a cosmetic thing. Well, let's face it, if you ride a mountain bike as it's intended, you're probably going to damage it anyway. So wheels, this is just a spare wheel set I had. It's WTB ST30 STI30 rims with Shimano hubs. It's not a spectacular wheel by any means, but you know, it's about the same as what comes standard if you just buy a Ragley Big off the peg. And I've wrapped these in some DHR2 tyres which I had knocking around. The front one was actually off the Bigwig before I put Tamils on. The rear was just a spare. It's a brand new spare that I had knocking around. Well, it actually might be the way around, but you know, both in very good condition. Up front, I've got a 180mm rotor. There, this is a Shimano Icetech rotor. The brakes, they are the Shimano SLX M7000 brakes, 2-pot. Good brake. Now the pads, I believe the front, maybe even the back actually, are Uber components, race compound pads. Went really well with the Bigwig, to be fair. So we've got another set of those for this. This is a Fox 34 fork, 29er fork with 150mm travel. It's got the standard cheap grip damper in it, so not the flashiest of forks, but you know, it's the same damper that's on the Bigwig on the Mazzocchi Z1, just obviously 34mm stanchions instead of 36. I've managed to pick up a Ragley stubby stem. It's 50mm stem, which yeah, you know, suits the bike, I suppose. And these Horizon bars, I think the 180s, just ones I had lying around. I took them off a bike I basically dismantled to sell, and they've been hovering around ever since. There's no point saying there's very little value in them. And some Pro Bike gear grips, which I just happened to have in a box. I used them on the Saracens, but I swapped them all for ODI grips. They're better, to be honest. In terms of the gear, the gears on, I've gone for a full Dior 11-speed, so it's a 5100 set. And the dropper post lever came with the dropper post, which I'll talk about a bit more in a moment. So the pedals, these are the DMR V11 pedals. Recently did a quick service on those, so you know, just basically re-grease them out. Good pedal, half the cost of a Volt, so I'd say a bit more reasonable for this sort of build, with the Dior M5100 cranks and a 32 tooth chainring. And the dropper post is a fun dropper post, so FUNN. Up, this is a fun up and down dropper post. This is a 150mm dropper. I bought this one because I couldn't get a Brand X one at the time. That's the only reason. To be honest, it works. The post itself actually works really well. The lever's okay. Took a bit of fighting about to get it set up. There's lots of bolts and stuff for positioning and all the rest of it. So it did take a bit of fighting around, but you know, we got there in the end, and it actually works really well now. Got the Madison Flux saddle. A bit of a departure from WTB saddles I normally get, mainly because of stock issues with those. But you know, this is actually not a bad saddle. Good covering. It's chromoly in terms of its rails. So you know, for whatever they are, 25 quid or whatever, it's not a bad saddle at all. In the rear, we've got the Dior M5100 rear derailleur with clutch, and the big 11-speed cassette. So it's the 11 to 51 tooth. The rear brake disc is 180mm as well, just an old one I had knocking around. Again, M7000 brakes at the back with the Uber Bikes pads, and the rear wheel same as the front, but that is a rear wheel. So that's it. Collar, seat collar, rather than putting an expensive Hope item in, going for the standard Ragley, and for the headset, BX components. So, you know, as I say, it's for me, it's a spare bike. You know, it's you know, it'll get used every so often. I've not ridden it yet. I probably will. I might change the bars out, to be honest, because I prefer an 800mm wide bar, these being 780. And I don't want such a rise, to be honest. But you know, I say other than that, it's a bike. At the end of this, I'll put the rough price of how much it cost. Thank you.